All right, so it's been roughly 24 hours, plus minus whatever, and since Troy fell, and the fans have been kind of picking through the rubble, looking for answers. But maybe it's too soon with more questions still out there. So maybe we shouldn't be stacking up the bodies just yet.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Marc, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you like to watch on YouTube or wherever you download your podcast, we are free. I want to say thank you for coming along for the ride. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet, there's a red subscribe button right there with your name on it. Do me a favor and hit it. And to those of you who already have, thanks once again. It means a whole heck of a lot. You can always follow me at my Twitter at Marc, M-A-R-C, Culkin, K-U-L-K-I-N. So, yeah, 24 hours later, it really happened. The Trojans took their victory and they chucked it in the dumpster. Or as I said on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, they couged it. And as a reminder, for those of you, some of you might be new, couging it is how you describe giving away a game in a way that most people think is impossible to give away. Wazoo, the Washington State Cougars, this is what they were famous for. They have, throughout their history, have found ways to give games away that you look at the probability rate, it's usually in that 98% percentile. Kind of like USC versus Tulane yesterday. Anyways, so Wazoo was known for couging it. They're also known for their, flag and logo showing up to each ESPN game day appearance. But you don't want to be associated with the term they couged it. It's a bad thing. So, first I want to again give credit to Willie Fritz's team from Tulane. They never stopped playing, and they showed, what happens when you continue to believe and, trust your coaching staff. And it shows what can happen when you believe and trust, especially when you're outmanned. And let's be honest, USC on paper has a better roster. Excuse me. So throughout the season, how many times do we hear USC players talk about trust and believing in the process? Yeah. How many times did we hear Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch say the same damn thing? Look, it was a lot. Yeah, it's coach speak, but it's also something you have to. That's the type of coach speak that goes on. Either you believe in your coaching staff and you trust in the process, or you don't. You got to get in or get out. Poop or get off the pot. Here's the deal. And this is what people need to remember. And it's overlooked because most people, sometimes myself, we see these young men, these kids, as semi-pros, playing football for the school that we love, attended, cheer for. Look, when you love something or something a whole bunch, you say and do stupid things, and you can get personal about it. And because you want to make the other person, feel the same emotion that that you're feeling or experiencing. So I get the lashing out and the venting. But remember, again, this is the reminder. Remember, these are guys in college. Yeah, they're young adults, but still, the brain can be easily manipulated, distracted. So sometimes you hear what you want to hear, and you believe what you want to believe, and the truth might be staring you right in the face. So again, there's so much going on for these young people who are not only playing football at USC for your enjoyment, but they're going to school. They're in the books. They got girlfriends. They got other things going on in their lives, sometimes much more important than playing football. Let's also remember that. They're human beings. They have families. But when it comes to trusting the coaching staff, let's let me use Darwin Barlow. Perfect example. Do you think he trusts or believes in the staff? I mean, he was back home in Texas for the bowl game, and you ask yourself, he can't get one series. You had all that extra practice time between the conference championship game and the bowl game, and you can't give him one series, a couple of carries in front of his friends and family. I mean, seriously. So, how do you ask a player to believe and trust you when they can't even see the field in a meaningless bowl game? And I'm not saying that after the fact. If you've been following me over there on USC, where I write my stuff, and you've been watching or listening to me here on Locked On USC, I haven't deviated. I consider the bowl games, and I'm someone who got pulled across the line for this one. I consider bowl games meaningless unless they are part of the playoff rotation. Here's another player. What about Corey Foreman? I've actually watched him humble himself this year, and he's trying to get better. He's dealt with some injuries, nagging, but he's played through it, so you give credit to that. He came in with a lot of hype and the pressure that comes along with that. And I can make a case for his play last year, but what about this year? Was there any appreciable development? UCLA game aside, he's always going to have that and be loved for that. But where's his head? Does he trust the scheme? Does he trust his own ability? Does he trust his position coach, Coach Manning? The defensive coordinator, obviously, Alex Grinch, head coach, Lincoln Riley. That's going to be something to watch. Look, I have no information. I don't want anyone to think I'm holding something back here, that he would say no to any of those things. But it's something to think about, right? We're kind of peeling back the layers here, diving a little bit deeper into what goes on in a college player's head, not just in one game, but throughout the season, in their life. Look, on one hand, I love that players are always competing for playing time. Love it. And the role and how their roles are, won and lost weekly. So I give a lot of credit to this coaching staff for coming in and doing things completely different than the previous staff. On the other hand, are the coaches being 100%, real when they say something multiple times, but then, their actions don't really back it up? For instance, Rajon Davis. He was always being talked up by his peers, his teammates, as well as the coaches, but rarely used. He was on special teams coverage, by the way. He recovered that onside kick beautifully yesterday. But he got into the game, and he actually, I'll say he had an impact because he was tackling guys at the point of impact. So when it comes to Rajon Davis, is that on Lincoln? Is that on Grinch? Is that on his position coach, Brian Odom? Who knows? And look, there are plenty of other examples that I can list to, but I'm going to hold off on those for now for a variety of reasons. You can bet I'll bring them up at the appropriate time. Also, head on over to betonline.net. They are your number one source for your sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, I know you do, you can find those over there as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, I want to thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Make sure to go check out Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less, plus instant reactions, game recaps, and Locked On's Take of the Day. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. All right, so Lincoln Riley. Did you know that after his loss in the Cotton Bowl, that he is 1-4 in bowl games as a head coach? Ouch. And I think everyone would agree that the defense has mostly been the reason for the losses. Case in point, Cotton Bowl, USC, Tulane. Don't need to go any further than that. We won't go any further than that. So, should Lincoln continue dancing with the person he brought to the ball, or should he start the breakup process? I'm going to use the little anecdote. We've all experienced at least once in our lives the following scenario. Honey, it's not you, it's me. I need more from this relationship, and I can't ask you to do more than what you're capable of. That wouldn't be fair. At this point, it's kind of like maybe that's how Lincoln Riley needs to approach this with Alex Grinch. He's been with him long enough. He knows what he's capable of. So, rhetorical question alert. Does Lincoln Riley need to make changes to the coaching staff? I know the answer. You know the answer. Does Lincoln Riley want to accept what's necessary? Because he knows the answer. And just do it. Well, we know breaking up is hard to do. Somebody should write a song with those words. Pretty sure it's already been done. I'm just not referring to the freaking atrocious defense and tackling results that bubbled up to the surface in the Cotton Bowl, but it's been going on all season long. This is nothing new. So let's focus on the player development. Touched on that a little bit in the previous segment. This is another reason why I hate star ratings, because players come in highly rated, come in underrated, maybe not rated high enough. It's just because they're so subjective, it puts different types of, expectations, I hate using that word, on the players when they arrive. When should they be ready to contribute? Look, I know some players are overrated, but some aren't, and some start off great, but then they plateau, and they don't get any better for whatever reason. And others are, you have those two categories, and you have the Leonard Big Cat Williams, that it doesn't matter who's coaching them. They just have a unique talent, a unique skill set. And as long as they have competent coaching, and you put that with somebody who does everything the right way on and off the field, from working out, nutrition, going to class, you end up with a Leonard Williams who is one of the best in the NFL. Everybody knows that Lincoln Riley, he's an offensive guy, and defenses aren't known for greatness so far during his young coaching career as a head coach. And recruits and some high school coaching staffs, they're taking notice too. If you're one of those guys who follows recruiting, I know you are. Recruiting is really big. It's the lifeblood of a college program, or it used to be, and I think it's still going to be for the most part. The transfer portal, we'll see which infusion is more important. But let's talk about a player like Peyton Woodward, the safety at Bosco, 5-star. He's now trending towards University of Texas. You're thinking, why? Why would you go to Steve Sarkisian and the program he's trying to build, compared to USC and what's in your backyard. Sark is also an offensive guy, but I think defensively they probably looked and played better. So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I got some sources I can turn to. Um, Another player, recruiting wise, Deuce Robinson, 5-star tight end. He's starting to look like a lock for Georgia. We know Georgia knows how to use their tight ends, blocking and in the passing game. Riley's offense used the tight end for blocking at USC, but not in the route, not in the running routes. On an occasion, you would see, the guy out there, but when he was at Oklahoma, tight end was a major part of the offense. Not so much at USC. So, again, is that a personnel thing, or were the tight ends needed to help with run blocking and pass protection? When you start to lose the confidence from high school coaching staffs, look, you have an uphill battle. Period. Sometimes, regardless of who the coach is at a certain school, they're going to encourage, regardless of whoever the head coach is at USC, certain high schools are just going to encourage their players to look elsewhere. They've got, for whatever reason, they might hold a grudge. Maybe they went to UCLA, the coaching staff at a high school, or they coached or rooted for another team that USC used to embarrass on a frequent, on a daily occasion, annually. Let me put it to you this way. You connect the dots. That's probably going to do it for you here. Why is Modern Day considered such a pro-USC school? And in the recruiting circles, many consider St. John Bosco, well, let's just say less so than Modern Day. USC has had some recruiting success from getting kids from Bosco, but they've had a lot more success getting kids from Modern Day. So, and let me, I guess, put that into context. Like I said, you have guys who have come from both schools and come through USC. Do me a favor. Name the last player from Bosco who's made an impact at USC. Now do Modern Day. Exactly. Names start exploding off your lips immediately when you start talking Modern Day and USC. It's not so easy when you talk about USC and Bosco's relationship. That's but then again, when you maybe that's just not a USC thing. Let's just leave that there. I got a lot of respect for that program over there. I mean, they just won another state championship. They're doing something right with Coach Jason Negro. So again, getting back to it's about the trust. It's about believing. We talked about what's going on at USC. We started delving into a little bit what's going on behind the scenes at the high school level with certain recruits, talking about certain local programs. Is the way USC developing players on the defense? Is that having an impact with recruiting? Is it having an impact through the transfer portal? And would it improve if high school players who are in college who are considering coming to USC, if they saw changes made on the defensive side of the ball? And then, there's the special teams. We'll say that for another day. We can go on. I think everybody knows Lincoln Riley likes to keep his coaching staff balanced a certain way where his position coaches don't just coach those positions. They're also involved with special teams responsibilities. That's the way he's been doing it. Again, change is neither good or bad. It's what you do with it. That's something to think about, right? Change when you make a change in your life, it's not necessarily good or bad. It's how you handle it. It's what you do with it. Sometimes changes need to be made. It might be painful at first, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Okay. So if you were hoping to hear that Tuli Tuiapolotu was going to stick around for another year, it's not happening. Yeah. On Tuesday, Mr. Tuiapolotu, he announced that he's heading to the NFL, which means USC's best defensive player is heading to the NFL. Hard to blame him. I mean, he's done everything you can possibly do from a personal standpoint. All American, consensus All American, um, Pac 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He's done everything except, obviously, win a team championship at USC. That doesn't mean he's not a winner. He was also part of the transformation of going from 4-8 to 11-3, and that's something he can be incredibly proud of, and his fans should be proud of as well. Just saying. Look, it's no need to wonder why he's leaving. Look, even though the NIL money I know would have been nice, just hearing some rumors, some speculation, what was being thrown around out there. So we also know that he's not showing up on any of the first round mock draft boards. But again, I think the sooner he gets to the NFL, the sooner he proves what he's capable of at that level, the sooner he gets into that second contract where you make the big money. So, again, there's no reason for him to stay. And I'm sure part of his decision making when he was weighing everything was, does the defensive scheme currently in place at USC, does it best suit his abilities, I guess is the best way to put it. We saw Tuli being used in multiple ways, dropping back into pass coverage, rushing the passer from the rush end, playing inside. Very talented player. So, you weigh all that, you say, well, does Tuli need to go through that again? Plus, there's the risk of injury. And go back and watch this last game. He's constantly being held at the line of scrimmage. That can be really frustrating. I mean, trust me. There was at least 4 times he was tackled from reaching the Tulane quarterback. That's just what I counted. And I couldn't watch every single play. And that's not whining or crying. That's just go watch the film. It's there for you to see. If you want to be completely objective about it, that's not whining or crying after the fact. Like I said, Tulane earned that win. They didn't quit. They kept believing and trusting in their coaching staff and who they are and to just keep doing what they do. And they talked about it before the game. There's yards to get against USC. USC's tackling was on film for everybody to see. So as much as it pains me to have to say it, because I talk to these guys all the time. I got to look them in the face, but they recognize it as well. They know that comes with playing Division I football at USC. Okay, who remembers Dan Hawkins from Colorado? Says in intramurals, brother. It's Division I football. You don't get a vacation. That's right. When you come play football at USC, you have to dedicate part of your day out of 365 days. So, again, back to Tuli. He was getting held a lot. And who wants to deal with that? So now gone from the defensive line that played in 2022, you've got Tuli. We know Nick Figueroa is done with his playing career. Brandon Peely expired all of his playing time. Kobe Pepe is in the transfer portal, as well as Colin Mobley. So who's coming back? Let's take a look. Tyrone Taleni. Okay. Positive addition that USC had through the transfer portal heading into spring of 2022. He's an older guy, married, family. So the maturity level was there, and Sean Newell was able to, they saw something in him at Kansas State, and they brought him over, and look what happened. He developed throughout the season, and he was on the field quite a bit, and he made an impact. Stanley Taufo, he's coming back. He didn't come to USC to play nose tackle, but he's playing, he's raised his game. He's playing up. And also, remember, he did pick off that 2-point conversion attempt in the end zone in the Cotton Bowl. So, unfortunately, didn't matter. But Stanley is a guy who just keeps working, keeps plugging along. Team guy. You want players like that in your locker room and on that practice field and on the field. He's just someone that he's going to, what you're going to get from Stanley. Solomon Tuliaupupu. I hope he's coming back. I think he's going to come back. I really want him to come back. It'd be great. You also have Solomon Byrd, Jamar Sakona, Dejon Benton, and Earl Barquette. Didn't see a whole lot of Earl play for USC in 2022. He came over from TCU. Wonder what he's thinking right now. And then you got some rookies coming in. The freshmen from the 2023 recruiting class, Braylon Shelby, David Peavy, Sam Green, Dejan Lafitte, and Elijah Hughes. Out of that group, who's going to make an impact this year? Are going to be relied upon. And so far through the transfer portal, you've got Kion Bars coming over from Arizona. So here's the question. Give me your feedback. How's your confidence level looking ahead to 2023 with those names, with that roster that I just went through with you? Do they need to go find an impact or two players to play up front? Again, I think we know the answer. But you tell me, what do you think? All right, so there you go. Once again, thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. They're over there. Get some instant reactions. They're over there on Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. And then when you're done listening or watching me on YouTube, you're going to head on over to wearesc.com because there is a lot, and I mean a lot of really good content that we put up for you following the game. Eric McKinney, Chris Arledge, he went in, he went in raw on USC and the defense, but he was very fair and balanced about it. You need to go check out his defensive musings. And then we've got our Inside the Trojan Huddle that's up as well. So until another episode of Locked On USC, everyone, you know what to do, right?